The start of Imola was not kind to some drivers, but it did reward Mohmeyer with a victory in the GT4s and brought him very close to the points leader, Jerry Freckleton. Now arriving in Japan to a lesser-known track, it could be an opportunity for the challengers to climb closer to the top of the pile. We'll see how it plays out as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Cy Andra. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Once the host of the Pacific Grand Prix, Okayama has since faded into a bit of obscurity. Let's check our track guide to see if we can shed a little light on it. Welcome to Okayama International Circuit. Located an hour's drive northeast of its titular city, it sits nestled among the green, lush hills in southern Japan. Built in 1990, it's most well known for the 2 visits Formula One made in 94 and 95. But since then, national and international touring car series have come to race here as well. Otherwise, the 2 available layouts are mostly used for club racing and amateur track days. The full course is just under 4 kilometers with 11 turns, and the short version is a measly 2 kilometers with 7 turns. It does this by cutting out the portion between Williams and Revolver. While hairpins abound throughout the lap, overtakes tend to be surprisingly hard. The first corner, Atwood Curve, and Hairpin are the main spots where drivers can attempt a traditional pass. Hairpin makes for unique battles though. The unusually steep banking for a road course, plus the switchback into Revolver, means that holding it around the outside can reward a brave driver. However, while it is a more modern facility, runoff in some places is shockingly small, and it can be easy to damage your car. This section in particular around Revolver, Piper, and Redmond gets slightly claustrophobic. The pit entry requires some practice since you must use the inside lane of Mike Knight, otherwise you'll get a penalty. While it might not see as much use in the real world, here on iRacing, this track is part of the base content, and so new road racers will find themselves here frequently. With it being suitable for a wide range of styles of cars, it's sure to excite many of the competitors who tackle it. There you can see a track that has had a rich history with 2 races at the on the Formula One circuit back in the mid-90s, but since more used for GT cars and whatnot, as well as club racing. But it should be fun with these Porsches on here. The GTE cars, of course, expected to have themselves a good old time, being very balanced. But the Caymans, known for some understeer, I wonder if they'll struggle in some of the quicker turns, such as Williams that we see out there. Could be a bit of a trouble point for our drivers throughout the day. Hopefully they can get this thing together and manage to get it running well. In the meantime, let's mention our sponsors, as once again, this is brought to you by Porsche, because there is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And of course, Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. As well as Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. So, as we have the Gte Championship, the GT Pros, we have Travis Brown leading the way, but Michael Johnson made big inroads on that one, along with Brian Salehi, 4 and 5 points back respectively from Travis Brown, so that has gotten extremely tight. Teddy Framheim is about 17 points back. He's got some work to do, but he hasn't shown up in a while. And Paul Newton is back there in 5th, 25 points, a full win behind Travis Brown, but it's early in the season. Cy, we also have the GT2s, the GT4 cars. How are we sitting on that one?
Well, in the lead, we have Johnny Freckleton with 78 points, and it's still a pretty close fight between the top 3. It's still mathematically possible, of course, to win the championship, and we'll have to see if there's any big upsets today. John Mohmeyer is in 2nd place with 69 points. Aaron Edwards rounds out the top 3 with 52. Adam Fulton in 4th with 43 points, and Tyler King in 5th with 35.
Now, for today's event, we are on the sprint format again, as it is only a 30-minute race. We're on round 6 out of a full 24-race season. There you can see the 2 different cars that they'll be running in each of the classes. They're in the midst of that 45-minute qualifying. Long time to try to get yourself into position. We'll be covering that in just a minute here. And it is open setup, but they try to be helpful in this series to make sure the drivers can try and get these things handling how they like. It is a rather friendly series, as steep as the competition can be. So as they work on that qualifying, Corey Lotvala actually has the pole, but by less than a tenth over Hagendick currently. And that's in the GTE class. In fact, it's even closer down in the GT4s. Mark Rondeau, 5/100ths ahead of Jad Duncan. So that's going to be fascinating as things continue there. Now, Cy, I'm very curious to see how these cars are going to interact on this track, especially in the latter half. I've seen multi-class racing here, but I don't think I've seen GT4s and GTEs try to tackle that twisty, windy final section.
Yeah, I think usually in multi-class racing, you know, when GTEs race against GT3s or prototypes and that sort of thing, the low-speed cornering grip is roughly the same between all 3 classes, so you don't have too much of issues with people stepping on each other's toes. But that's not the case with the GT4s and the GT3s. The GT4s are, I wouldn't say slow, in terms of, in relation to road cars, they're pretty damn fast. But compared to the RSRs, they have just so much more aero that works at low speed, even compared to the GT4. And I think you'll have a lot of people catching up unexpectedly in the braking zones and even off the corner as well.
We watched Rondeau there take another lap, but wasn't able to go any quicker, so we switch over to Michael Bolton, last on the field right now in our GT1 field. So as he crosses the line, which is way down this straightaway, it's not like F1 where they have it towards the front. And it's going to be slower, unfortunately. Oh, as Freckleton has a big moment and runs it into the wall there on the front stretch. So our points leader finding himself not going to have a quicker lap that time through. Now he's coming back out to start another one, and he does have time to try and get a fast one down, but he still sits in third as it is now.
Yeah, those Caymans aren't known for having the rear engine like the typical 911, but that mid-engine can still act like a pendulum through some of these fast sweepers, and it can catch out drivers very easily, especially if they drop tires into the gravel traps.
Hollander last time by 27.9, about 2 seconds off of his fastest lap. He'll give it another try as we follow him on board up through Williams. And now back to Jacob Abrams, who's behind him. Another driver still struggling to try and go quicker. How about Mohmeyer, though? Off of a victory. He sits in 5th, so not going to be starting on the front row or the second row. He'll be back on the inside of row 3, and that 142.5 looks like that was a warm-up lap, as that wasn't anywhere near his quickest. Oh, that's not the quick way through that corner, as Aaron Edwards finds himself out in the gravel trap. And Aaron eventually works his way back onto the course. Michael Bolton still, unfortunately, plumb last in the field with that last lap. BJ Fulton, in the meantime, 4th place, but about 0.2 off of his quickest with that 25 flat.
You know, Joe, it's pretty common in the real world to qualify with multiple classes on track, but it's not very common in iRacing, so we're not used to having basically cars come up on each other with massively different speeds in qualifying, so these GT4 cars don't need to move over if a GTE is coming up on their backside.
At least on a straightaway, that's for sure. As Matt Hollander pulls off the track. Now, I'm not sure if he'll be able to get back around for a quick one. If he hustles, he could, and that wasn't any faster, so 7th might be the highest we'll see him. As Robinson in 6th, also looks like that was an outlap in that classic livery. Baccignoni, in the meantime, down in 9th. The Kermit the Frog green of that 581 coming off the final corner, which is actually literally named that. And he is going to come across the line. He's put a lot of qualifying laps in. This one, unfortunately, not faster than the last one.
Haven't been seeing too many improvements in lap time, though, Joe. Do you think the track's been slowing down, or do you think it's all that dust being kicked on track?
You know, I wonder if it's slowing down because it looks like it's pretty similar temperatures to what it was before. 75 Fahrenheit. So I suspect that this is drivers maybe almost heating the track up. Well, usually we talk about putting rubber down on the roadside, but it could be that they're just heating up the corners a little too much. Maybe they're slowing them down. You're more the engineer than I am, so I'll avoid putting my foot in my mouth on that one. We now look at Ron Palmer, who is in 7th, and he's coming off the final turn. The Californian, with a quickest lap of a 37.3, comes down to the line. It's going to be close. Oh, 37.6, about 0.3 off.
Now, as qualifying winds down, coming up down to about 3 minutes, people are going to be starting their final flying laps here. Is there anybody you're particularly interested in, or do you think is out of place on the grid right now, Joe?
Now, I think Travis Brown is probably looking at a better race in his qualifying currently. He's about just shy of 0.2 off of Corey Lotvilla. Corey is looking quick in the qualifying, but we haven't seen him out there recently. So either he feels pretty confident or he hasn't been putting in the time that we're seeing Travis put in, still out there running. That being said, Hagendick has split the pair of them and is awfully tight, is out there running. So he might be one to watch out for. Yep. I believe Jerry Freckleton is probably going to be the one to beat, even though he's not showing it in the warm-up right now. He's been pretty quick in the races themselves.
And Hagendick is coming to the line here, coming out of the final corner. Let's see if he can improve.
Yeah, through Hobbs and then Redmond.
25.8. Yeah, I think you might be right, Joe. I think the track has been slowing down quite a bit. I haven't seen people get within a couple tenths of their fastest laps, so maybe getting out early was the key to getting pole here.
As Hagendick now, he was just flirting with the dirt. That might have discounted the lap. We'll find out in just a moment. As he crosses the line, yeah, that one did not count. And I feel that he's just got this one more shot. No, he might have two, actually, as he's just got enough time. Tyler King, in the meantime, who sits in 10th, is coming down to take his next lap, but that was an out lap. That wasn't a quick one for him. Let's hope he can get around cleanly on this last one.
And that's more difficult than it sounds, Joe, because Okayama isn't known for having very forgiving curves. At the final corner, that's probably the biggest curve that you get around this track for running wide. Everywhere else, you can only put a tire on them before you start dropping wheels on the grass. And that can, especially through places like Revolver and the double hairpins, that can be quite difficult to keep the car on the straight and narrow there.
Can report that Fulton didn't go quicker. Lotvilla did not either. And we've got Newton not improving. Mohmeyer had an off track somewhere around there. We're running out of time. And Jad Duncan, who sits in 2nd, has to make up a 1/10.5 to try and take that pole away. He'll get one more shot if he wants it. 35.3, not quite there, less than a 1/10 off of his quickest.
Hagendick making one last attempt at the pole here. Possibly he has 30 seconds, so he gets another lap. But his tires might be falling off here.
Freckleton fails to take the pole that time. Hagendick as well. Travis Brown was behind them, didn't go any faster. I mean, 45 minutes is a long qualifying session. Maybe they just found as much as they could.
Or they probably might be tripping over each other on these laps, though, Joe, especially with the mixed multi-class qualifying. They just might not be able to find track space here.
That's a good point. Tyler King's going to be the first to take the checkered flag. He's 10th in his class, and he'll stay 10th as he doesn't go quicker. Michael Ost, who is also 10th, but up in the GT1 class. As he crosses the line, no, not going to do it. What about Bowen? He's only had 2 clean laps out here. A third one will not improve. And then up next, let's see, I just lost it. Fulton down into the lane. Lotvilla abandons it as well. This is Paul Newton. Looks like that one also is not going to be any faster. Mohmeyer up next as he sits 2nd in the GT2 standings. A 36.5 will not give him any more positions.
Here comes Hagendick for his actual final flying lap. It looked pretty clean. I was watching on board with him. It didn't look like he got tripped up too much. Let's see. Oh, I think it's just going to be too slow. Yep. 26.0 that time by.
What about Michael Johnson? And the number 9, no. 25.5 will not be it. Behind him, Jerry Freckleton. He does improve, but he doesn't go faster. 36 will not take him higher than that 3rd spot.
And to round out, we have Ron Palmer bringing up the rear here. I believe he's the last car on track, potentially.
See the 211 out there. I'm trying to remember if he had already crossed. I think Tyler King did already. Yeah, we already saw him complete his qualifying session and take the checkered flag. So that actually finishes off our results. We'll get to that qualifying order in just a moment. But this should be a fascinating one. I'm kind of curious how many drivers have had practice out here, because some of these drivers are a little bit more new to iRacing, so it might be a little bit more like real life side, where a less familiar track for them, even though it's used by quite a few on iRacing due to being free content.
Absolutely. I've probably done hundreds, or maybe even, well, not 1,000, but at least hundreds of races around Okayama here when I was an old rookie there. But it's obviously not a common track. It's not well known. It's only in a few other games that I know of, and it certainly isn't one of the more popular tracks like Spa or Nürburgring or anything like that. So track knowledge is going to be at a premium here, especially since I'd say it's not a familiar club circuit, to be honest.
Certainly not. It seems familiar to Latvala, who took the pole with Hagendick starting in 2nd. It'll be Travis Brown in P3 with BJ Fulton in 4th. Michael Johnson will be the inside of the next row in 5th. To his outside, Matthew Robinson will be 6th, and Matt Hollander is 7th, and it's Jacob Abrams starting P8. Doug Baccignone will be P9, Michael Ost in 10th, and the next slide has Paul Newton starting 11th, with Bolton in 12th, and Robon, last of our GT1 class, in 13th. Si?
In the GT4s, we have Mark Rondeau starting on the pole there, and then behind him we have Jad Duncan. Jerry Freckleton rounds out the top 3 with Adam Fulton in 4th. John Mohmeyer tried very hard, but unfortunately could not get anything better than 5th. In 6th, we have Aaron Edwards, and behind him we have Ron Palmer, Jerry Schlum, and then in 9th place we have Ian McNeil, Tyler King, and then Austin Bowen.
So 24 cars out there racing today. Not the biggest field, and laps aren't too terribly long either, so not a bad thing that we don't have too many to trip over, as the Porsche pace car now takes off, and Latvala will be given control pretty soon. They only have a very short pace lap as they start just before Hobbs and Redmond, and then work their way up the hill. They'll get that green flag coming around the final corner, as the pace car will have to take an early dip since the pit entry happens before they even get to that turn. And you can see the GT4s as well starting to pick up the pace and start their own grouping. They'll have a split start. There goes the pace car. Latvala on the inside, waiting patiently. The red and black machine looking for the flagman as round 6 gets ready to go. That's a long wait. The 22 is giving it quite a while. There goes the green flag. He is off, and I think Fulton got caught napping there, because Travis Brown already to his inside, looking 3 wide, almost 4 wide, down into the first corner. A lockup behind them, and it's clean for the GTEs. Let's go to the GT4s.
Well, the GT4s, they got caught up in the back of the GTE field there. Like you said, a couple of lockups and a couple of slow spins. But Mark Rondeau is still in the lead pack, but looks like Jad Duncan has taken the lead away from him in that yellow GT4. But it looks like a fairly clean start for the GT4s here, Joe.
Hagendick and Robon, unfortunately, now caught up amongst those GT4 drivers as they head into Atwood. And who is that off? Someone way into the barrier. Adam Fulton finds himself just flying into the tires. We watch our GT4s come down towards the hairpin, and Jad Duncan is leading, but he's going to have the GTE of Hagendick down to his inside. That opens up the door as Rondeau's going to take a look. They're actually going to come together. They make contact. They both give away the lead, and that gives it to Freckleton.
Very, very tight racing there, Joe, and I think a little bit of argy-bargy that was probably wasn't expected. That GTE came out of nowhere for Fulton, I'm pretty sure, or Duncan.
It was distracted and it opened the door. And for both of them, it wound up costing them a potential win unless they can run back to the front in this very short race. Freckleton leads Mohmeyer, and that's how it sits in the standings, actually. So despite neither of them being where they were in the points in the qualifying, they quickly find themselves exactly there after one lap up at the front of our GTEs. BJ Fulton is off track. He loses a couple spots as Johnson and Robinson go by.
Taking a look at that one again.
Here we go. This happened down into the first corner. Did he just outbrake himself? Did he have help? Let's see. That's Fulton in the green and black car.
Oh, a little bit wide. Talking about those thin curves, Joe. Excellent job not to spin it, though. Those RSRs have a lot of power, and just giving it a little bit too much throttle could easily have looped it.
With these medium temperatures, how long do you think it takes to get the tires up to temperature? I almost wonder if Fulton just was going full send when the car couldn't take it.
It could be a little bit of that dirty air too, Joe. I mean, these RSRs, well, they're not exactly F1 cars in terms of the downforce. That dirty air still affects them, and if you lock the inside tire, they're not going to want to do anything but go straight.
Down in fourth place, Ron Palmer and Rondeau having a bit of a fight. Rondeau out of position though now. Remember, he was right up at the sharp end of the field, and a big mistake coming through. Piper is going to open the door. Rondeau looks to the inside, down into Hobbs. Palmer doesn't defend, but he sends it in deep. Palmer trying to go underneath him, and he gets hit again.
Oh.
A bunch of cars scattered to try and go around the either side. Tyler King in there, Michael Robon. Robon not even in that class. He's still trying to get through back to his field.
Looks like Palmer might have a little bit of damage. You see the car crabbing a little bit, but luckily it looks like everybody seems to have gotten away fairly clean. But I think that was just Palmer trying to park it on the apex there, and I think trying to do the over/under just caught him off guard.
Unfortunately for Rondeau, he's had too much damage. He's had to head into pit lane. A big lockup from somebody up in front of there. I think that might have been Robon, actually, as this battle continues. King, Palmer, and Edwards now fighting for fourth in the GT2 class through the Moss S. Palmer under threat as Edwards sizes him up. Will he want to try and do it into Atwood, or will he try it down the backstretch?
This corner is actually quite difficult, Joe. It doesn't look at, but that uphill sort of crest on the top of the hill sort of invites the back ends to step out even on these lower powered cars. Getting the line right there is essential to getting a good round on the back straight. And I think as we see Ron Palmer gain ground on Tyler here, he's looking to the inside, backs out of it, isn't quite there.
So he stays put, and they are a ways back from the next cars in front of them, which includes Jad Duncan. Oh my goodness, it was close though, as they were getting passed by Robon, still trying to get his way through all these GT2s. Mohmeyer was almost run off the track, and another problem there from Robon. The car just smoking the tires away as he slips up, and he's going to hand one of those spots right back.
It looks like Robon is having trouble putting the power down. I'm seeing him get sideways and having to stomp on the brakes and not loop the car. Luckily, he's doing a good job so far to save it, but those tires, he's not doing any favors to those tires. They're probably overheated at this point.
Now, hopefully, he'll be able to leave them alone as he gets well ahead of them towards the first corner. Duncan, oh my goodness, Duncan is in deep into that first turn. I'm amazed that he managed to get that thing turned in.
That's easy to do here. It's a decreasing radius corner at Okayama turn 1. And it is such a good corner to get right, but it is so easy to get wrong, especially when you go deep on the brakes like that.
So we ride on board with them, watching from over the dash of Duncan. This is the corner you were saying is so tricky, uphill, accelerating the whole way. Both of them clean through there. Now he'll get the slipstream down the backstretch. This is all behind Freckleton and Mohmeyer, who still ways up the road. Freckleton leading, Mohmeyer in second.
Freckleton has just pulled away with this race. I think he's been doing his practice, sort of getting his laps in, because he has almost a 3-second lead over the next car in the field with John Mohmeyer, his next rival in the championship here. So he's doing everything he needs to do to sort of consolidate his championship position. Oh, and I think Mark Robon has had an off right there. Gets it
Another
going
one
again, but if I was Mohmeyer, I would be getting a little bit frustrated with this GTE.
Yeah, not exactly the sort of lap traffic you want to be dealing with here. And it's amazing. I mean, as many incidents as he's had, he hasn't really damaged the car too badly. That said, they do have penalties. Once he gets to 17, he is going to have to take a drive-through. And then at 34, he'll be actually disqualified. So he's got to keep it safe as here's a good run. And Duncan has got the inside. Mohmeyer does not defend. This is going to be for second place. Actually, what happened to Mohmeyer as they come through turn one and Mohmeyer can't defend? Duncan is going to be able to get up into P2.
Usually if you can hold it on the outside of turn one, turn two becomes your friend, but he couldn't quite hold it there. Jad just had way too good of a run.
Down into Atwood corner once again. We see John try and fight back. He's looking for the run off the corner. He's a little bit closer to what we saw from Duncan last time through, but not sure this is a long enough straightaway.
While we're talking about that, Corey Latvala is only a few corners back from the back of the GT4 field, and we are only about just over 8 minutes into this race, Joe. So I think we'll see traffic about maybe 2 times. Maybe we'll see the GTEs lap the GT4 field 2 times this race, I think.
We're on board with we're on board with Corey now, and can't quite see them yet. However, I believe they're fighting up in front of them, so that's going to slow them down even more. It's McNeil, Bowen, and Fulton. That's for 7th, 8th, and 9th. They already have them outpaced by, what, about 11 seconds around here?
Yeah, and it's only a minute 20 lap, or a minute 25 for the GTEs, so I'd say that he's going to catch these cars in the next, I'd say, lap and a half. And if they keep fighting, it's going to be a bit of a roadblock for Latvala.
He's got to hope that they get this sorted out soon, because Latvala's only got about a second and a half over Travis Brown, our current points leader. Ooh, a bad exit off the final turn for Austin Bowen. And McNeil chasing him, looks down to the inside. The yellow and blue number 182 leaves some space at the apex. Plenty of space, and that's going to allow a much better exit from McNeil. He is fully ahead before they get to Williams. And meanwhile, Doug Baccignoni seems to have lost some spots. Remember, he was in 9th place. What happened here? Oh, I think Jacob Abrams, you're going to see him spin. There it is. Oh, no.
Baccignoni just tagged the front of his car. It helped straighten out. It helped straighten him out, though. Give him that.
Yeah, well, Abrams is thankful for that, but I don't think Doug is. We're going to watch it one more time. Oh, it's a pretty heavy hit. I'm actually surprised Baccignoni is able to run as quick as he is after that. In fact, looks like he's almost caught up to Abrams. Wow, he didn't lose too much time at all.
Well, Doug, we know Doug has been pretty quick in these cars. Well, relatively speaking, I suppose. But Hagendick is coming through the field pretty quickly. We know he had the spin early on turn one, but he's bolted through the GT4 field, and now he's in the thick of the GTE field.
Yeah, now they're
coming to lap the GT4s.
Yeah, they're catching that trio that we were watching just before. Bowen letting Paul Newton by. Newton was in those Caymans last season, running for wins, and has not been doing quite the same here in the GT1 class now, but currently has a top 10 on his hands as he leads ahead of Jacob Abrams. Michael Ost close behind as well. These are all 4 position, so all 5 of these GTE Porsches have really got to stay clean, because if one of them makes a mistake, whoever's behind is going to be pouncing immediately.
And it's a similar situation through the entire field, Joe. I don't see any gaps greater than about, well, there's one gap, but most gaps are within a second or so, and I think we see a little bit of a battle coming here as Michael Johnson and Matthew Robinson are battling through GTO field through Revolver.
Oh, and they've also got Edwards and Palmer in front of them pretty quickly here as they manage to get past that GT4 traffic. Fulton now diving to the inside of Hollander, and that's for position. Or excuse me, no, that was, no, diving on the inside of Tyler King, rather. No, that's Hollander back behind him, still running. Palmer sees Newton. Oh, and Newton has to lock up the brakes to keep from hitting him. See this one more time.
Flashes his headlights. Yeah, look at that closing speed though, Joe. Just can't really slow down the GTEs that quickly.
Great job keeping that from becoming worse. He didn't lose a position either. He still got a good shot off the corner. Abrams couldn't manage an overtake in the process. Oh, sorry, Michael Johnson just, I think, made contact with Robinson. Robinson is off the course.
Actually, Joe, I don't think he got contact. Robinson just dropped the tire in the grass.
You're right. Good catch. Not necessarily for Robinson, unfortunately. He actually took a tow, and I'm not sure why, as he didn't hit anything.
Yeah, just went too far left, got greedy on the entry there.
It snapped so fast, there's not much he could do. So that takes away that battle, which was getting awful close. I think the nearest one at this point is between Hollander and Fulton for 5th in the GTEs.
Yeah, and this gives Travis Brown a very healthy margin, 1.5 seconds back to Michael Johnson there.
Now, I thought, actually Hollander was behind Fulton earlier this lap. He made the pass on the backstretch. And not only is he going to get the spot from Robinson spinning off and taking the tow, but Hollander is now promoted 2 up into 4th, having overtaken Fulton. More traffic yet in front of them. Freckleton, as well as Schulem.
Hollander's done a good job coming to the field here. He qualified 7th, and now he's up to 4th on raw pace alone. So I think he definitely had something to prove after his qualifying effort.
Been a lot cleaner than many of the drivers in front of him. That certainly plays to his advantage today as they work their way up the hill through Atwood yet again. I think we have lost Matthew Robinson, who has exited the server, so he is our first official DNF of the day. Oh, and Abrams and Ost just traded positions. That was the 73 making an overtake into the hairpin. Let's take a look at this. He already had a nose inside, and I guess just finished the job.
And they're still battling here, Joe. And while we have Hagendick right on their bumper with Baccagnone on them as well, that's a 5-car battle for 6th.
Holy cow, it is an absolute traffic jam. Baccagnone is stuck at the back of it, but he's going to get a great launch. Not quite good enough one. Hagendick playing defense, making sure to keep that green car behind him. Oh, up at the front of him, Paul Newton, though, locked him up down through the final corner. Michael Ost quickly approaches, ducks to the inside. Ost has the desired line, and as he swings it through, he gets it done. Ost up into 6th.
And Jacob Abrams looks hungry for some Paul Newton, and he tries to set up for the outside here, but not quite. Go look at the Williams.
Has to stay in line, single file down through the Moss S, and we're halfway through this race now. Big look to the inside from Hagendick, but it doesn't bear fruit. Once again, down the back stretch as they come to the braking. Anybody brave here? Nope. They're all going to just
meanwhile,
wait.
The GT4, Joe, we have Ron Palmer and Tyler King. They have not been able to get away from each other. They are within a half second coming up Williams.
This could be a great chance for King.
He's in the draft.
Yeah, the 211 is looking for it. He's holding on to the back of that 29. Takes a little peek, but then decides better of it. He's a little too far back to actually affect the pass down into the hairpin. Probably the most popular place to overtake on this circuit.
It is the most popular, but it's not the easiest place to get it done. That hairpin is banked a little bit, so if you do get caught on the outside, you can get an excellent exit by sort of rolling the top of the track there, and it gives you the inside into Revolver.
That's a good point. Oh, and back with that group that we're watching before, Hagendick almost dove it into Abrams, literally into the side of him, but managed to keep out of it. That gave a chance to Baccignone, and Doug can't capitalize. Things getting spicy in the back of this group.
Hagendick is looking impatient. He's poking his nose in left and right as he tries to get Abrams to make a mistake. Abrams does go wide there, but the curvature of the track brings him back in. I'm not sure he's going to have a run here, but it's going to be close.
I'm kind of surprised that Eric has not made better inroads. He qualified on the front row. I don't know if he had damage or something that he's dealing with, but I thought that he would have an easier time trying to overtake some of the mid-packers.
Well, it might be just a combination. He burnt off his tires trying to get through the field here, Joe. I mean, these GTEs recently got a change to how hard the tires are, how long they could last, so they're much more sensitive to sliding, and he had that big spin in turn 1, so that might be coming back to bite him now.
That's a fair point. He's still got 12 minutes to go, so he's got some time to try and make some overtakes, but he's got to start doing something, especially considering once they get up to the front of this train with Ost, it's 6 seconds to Fulton, so not looking likely to really be able to run down BJ and Hollander. All of them in a line as they approach turn 1 and hit the binders. Nobody able to really make an attempt this time, but very different lines. That's one thing I've always liked about that corner. Seems to kind of offer up a few different ways to approach it.
And because it ties into turn 2, the line you take at turn 1 kind of affects your entry into turn 2. I always prefer to take a really tight line through turn 1, which set me up for turn 2, but you can do it the other way around. You can run really wide out in turn 1 and sort of compromise yourself in turn 2. That's the beauty of this track.
Rondo is the GT4 you see getting lapped. And I think all of them are going to be able to easily overtake him down the backstretch. Yep, there's Baccignone finishing the job. And they'll be able to continue on unabated. But things are almost looking like they're settling in for a bit. Is this the calm before the storm?
Well, it very well could be. I think they're kind of like sort of spreading, not quite spreading out, but they're kind of like sizing each other up, so to speak. We have Michael Ost at the front sort of running away with it. Not quite, but he has pulled a little bit of a gap to Paul Newton. But Jacob Abrams, Eric Hagendick, and Doug Baccignone are all right there if any of them make a mistake.
Now we watch from on board, Michael, and Newton looks pretty distant now. It's nearly a full second. Oh, as behind them, Baccignone is off, and he has a monster hit into the inside wall. I'm not sure that he'll be able to keep competitive from here. He's probably going to have to come into pit lane for a spare car.
It looks like he didn't get any help. He just lost it on his own in the grass.
Yeah, just pushing a little bit too hard in the back. And you talked about the wake as well. He was getting all 4 of those cars in front of him just messing up the air. And that sent him off. Oh, Hagendick once again attacking Abrams. Oh, he made contact! Both of them slamming doors. It looks like the cars survived. Oh, goodness.
That looks a lot worse than it could have been.
I'm surprised that the cars did not spin off into the barrier. We just came over in time to catch that incident. So Abrams remains in 11th, but let's get another angle on it, see if we can try and deconstruct this one. This starts into Atwood right here.
Hagendick shows his nose again like he always has, but looks like Abrams just turns in a little bit. On the exit as well.
I think he got loose, it almost seemed.
Yeah, that crest can easily break the tires loose if you're not expecting it.
They remain only 3/10 apart, so round 2 is about to happen with less than 10 minutes to go. You're not missing much elsewhere. The cars are starting to spread apart. Latvala still leads the GT1s, and Freckleton leads the GT2s, so this is really our best action. They're approaching Paul Newton, who is in the same class, who spread himself away with that incident. I can report that Baccignone did head into the pits. He's coming in for his spare car.
And I can report the gap between Michael Johnson and Matt Hollander has been about a second a lap. Neither of them have made any inroads significantly either way. And it looks like Travis Brown and Corey Latvala are pretty safe at where they are.
Look at this run. Oh, an early braking from Abrams.
Oh, no!
Oh,
And that was McNeil who he hit in the GT4 there.
the traffic just being at the wrong place for them.
To be honest, Joe, I'm not sure he would have made that corner without using the GT4 as a guardrail there.
He was coming in with head of steam. Yeah, I thought Abrams braked too early, and yeah, I think you're right. I think it was the other way around. Well, that certainly put a damper on Hagendick, who's been a slight loose cannon today, sadly. You can see the damage on the left side of that Gulf liveried machine, and that may have put paid to that battle. He sees down in ninth, and Abrams is ahead by almost 5.5 seconds. Let's take a look at Latvala. 4 seconds between himself and Brown. He took the pole and hasn't relinquished the lead since then, as the 22 has only been overtaking the other lapped cars. Freckleton has instead managed to inherit this top spot in his class, in the GT2s. The 57 has a slightly smaller gap, but not much, 3.2 seconds between himself and Jad Duncan.
I mean, the thing I can see in both these leaders, Joe, is just consistency and staying out of trouble. I think Jerry took advantage of some trouble happening at the front of the GT4 field on the start, and Corey just never got involved in it to begin with.
Thing is, Freckleton's been taking wins this season, so this isn't too unfamiliar to him. I think he's gotten used to this perspective, and I'm sure he'll cherish it here today as well. With now 7 minutes left to go. Hasn't seen much threat, but as we've seen, when the GTE cars start to lap, the unpredictable can happen. Someone else could make a mistake and ruin his day.
Absolutely. It's not always the cars that you see that get you. That's for sure in multi-class.
Worry of the unknown, you could say. And as he climbs the hill onto the backstretch, credit to Jad Duncan, though, in this one. Remember, he had to make an overtake on Mohmeyer in this, and he's left Mohmeyer in the dust since then. It's 11 seconds. Jad kind of in no man's land, but just running his own pace, and a second place is in his hands if he just keeps this up.
Well, he is faster. Just looking at lap times right now. If we can get a comparison, I think he's closing the gap. I don't know if he has enough time because he only has about 6 minutes left. He needs to close that half second to a minute to do so. But he's definitely showing his pace, and I think either you might be Freckleton taking it easy and sort of cruising to the end, or Jad just deserved to be up there and just got caught up in an early mess.
Well, Freckleton is consistently slower. It's not by half a second a lap, though. In fact, it looked like maybe some of the lap traffic did give him some help with a 7/10 gain for Freckleton over Duncan a couple laps ago.
Well, it's still in the realm of possibility, I suppose, but that requires a mistake from either Freckleton or somebody lapping him.
Yeah, I think he'll need a little bit of outside help to make this work. Now, Hollander, who you mentioned was staying about 0.8 of a second behind Johnson, has it down to 0.5 of a second. I wonder, though, if this is going to be more easier to catch and harder to pass.
Well, that might very well be the case, but all Hollander needs is for Johnson to catch a GT4 in the wrong place, either in a place like Revolver where it's not easy to pass, or in the double hairpins where it's not easy to get a run. And if either of those things happen, I think Hollander will be right on his wing.
Next one up is going to be Jad Duncan in front of them. And actually, I think they're going to catch him in one of the more technical portions. Yeah, here as they approach down through the hairpin, they should be having to try and get by at least Piper or Hobbs down to the double left-hander, triple left-hander, I guess you could say. They then hit the hairpin next. Yeah, just at the right time. He'll be able to hold off to the right side.
Very smart drive from Duncan. They're giving room to Hollander. He knows that he's not going to be waiting, that he's in a battle for position in his class. So, smart drive.
Battle is still on, though. And Hollander eager to try and get himself onto the podium. Johnson, though, fighting for a championship. He's only 4 points behind Brown, so him finishing where he is will minimize the damage to Travis, who currently sits in front of him. And, oh, wow, that was a little tight. Hollander trying to sneak inside of Freckleton, but he made it stick. Great heads up by Jerry. Yeah, let's talk us through this.
Well, it's always that classic thing in multi-class racing. You're chasing a guy in front of you for 4th position. You get a lapped car that'll slow you down, and you kind of just stand and hope the lapped car sees you. And luckily, he did. Wonderful piece of driving from both.
I think Freckleton's gap helped him be able to maybe give a little bit more leeway and not have to worry about taking it to the apex there. Down to 3 minutes to go. I think we're going to get 2 to go next time by.
Well, Lotvelo's coming through Piper now, so I think you might be right, Joe.
Yeah, it should be, at 125 a lap if they're less than 3 minutes. Indeed, it will be 2 to go. As a 4-second gap back to Travis Brown. Boy, not his best race. He's been outpaced by Corey, but he's also really had a calm one from our perspective. Hasn't really seen much in the way of drama shown on the screen. Johnson coming off the corners. We watch him. Has Hollander ever closer. It's down to 0.4 of a second now.
They don't have too much lap traffic to worry about from here on out. They might catch Mark Rondeau towards the end of the race, but that's yet to be seen. It's gonna be close. I think Matt Hollander just needs to pressure Johnson into making a mistake. He's been locking brakes a little bit here and there, but he just needs something a little bit more significant to get alongside.
He's down to 0.2 of a second now. Pressure is really on, and these two know each other well. They've raced in this series together for a long time. He keeps with them. It's back up to 0.4 on the backstretch, so I don't think the pass is on down into the hairpin. But how does he handle the more technical portions? Does one of them have an advantage? Did they set up the car better for mechanical grip where you need it through these series of slow turns? Up in front, they also have Michael Roban. Will the lap GTE car play a part?
We see lights flashing on the cars ahead, trying to get those GT4s out of the way. And then the lap car of Mark Roban ahead of him.
It's not good news for the final lap. That could decide things as they come through, because the white flag is now being waved for Corey Lotvola, who has come along the front stretch. As the 22 is trying to go from pole to flag with the win, but the battle for the final step on the podium is still undecided.
Big lockups again.
Last few corners in lap traffic was great for Johnson, bad for Hollander, as he once again is a full 1 second behind, and he overdrives the car a little bit through Williams, putting 2 wheels in the dirt.
And remember, if Hollander makes a mistake here, BJ Fulton is right behind him, only a 1.5 seconds back to pick up the pieces on anything he makes a mistake on, whether it be lap traffic or just driving too hard.
Pressure is on the last lap of round 6, but not for Corey Lotvola, who has got himself a handy gap of about 5.8 seconds. He's got just a few more corners to go, and Corey is going to love this one, as this will certainly shoot him up in the points. The number 22 just has 2 more left as he heads through Mike Knight and then into the final corner. He is scot-free from here. Corey Lotvola can celebrate now as he takes it to the line and wins at Okayama.
Excellent drive from Corey, absolutely flawless today.
Brown will get...
comes Travis Brown.
Yeah, and Johnson does take third. Hollander fell off in the end. Freckleton will be the next of our podium finishers, as he is looking for a win and has 3.5 seconds over Jad Duncan. A little bit of luck swung his way. The 57, though, is adding to his tally of wins that are just racking up in this series. You have to wonder who can stop him, as everybody else trips over themselves sometimes. The 57 wins in Japan here in the Porsche Owners Club.
And behind him, Jad Duncan comes home to take second place on the podium here. And behind him, John Mohmeyer must be kicking himself to let his championship rival get away from him in this race. He definitely had a little bit of pace for him, but unfortunately just couldn't put it together. Takes on third today.
As Mohmeyer crosses the line, that takes us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Okayama. With the Porsches out there, they gave us a fun time, that's for sure. But it was Corey Latvala that came away with the win today. Travis Brown followed him home, and Michael Johnson rounded out the podium. Michael with some intense pressure from behind for much of the end of the race. Matt Hollander, unfortunately, making a few small mistakes and then fell back on the very last couple laps. He finished fourth. BJ Fulton with a top 5 was then followed by Michael Ost. How about this? From 10th to 6th, up 4 spots, and then up 5 for Paul Newton, who finished in 7th today. Jacob Abrams was 8th, and Eric Hagendick on the front row had a miserable day out there. Had to settle for 9th after multiple errors. Doug Baccignone was 10th, and Michael Bolton was 11th, with Michael Roban rounding out our finishers lap down in 12th.
Well, in the GT4s, we had Jerry Freckleton finish first, starting from third on the grid, won this race pretty convincingly. In second, we had Jad Duncan finishing where he started. Excellent job. And to round out the podium, we have John Mohmeyer starting in 5th, finishing 3rd. Again, an excellent result. In 4th, we have Ron Palmer. In 5th, Tyler King. 6th, Adam Fulton. 7th, Aaron Edwards. 8th, Leon McNeil. 9th, Mark Rondeau. And in 10th, Jeffrey Schloom. And finally, rounding out our GT4 field, Austin Bellman.
Looks like we have our winner in the GT1s, Corey Latvala, ready to talk to us after he took it from the pole to the victory. Corey, it seemed you did have to work for this one a little bit as Travis Brown kept you honest, but towards the end of the race, was it mostly just cruising and keeping the car whole?
For sure. I was just trying to minimize the mistakes. I was out on Travis by like 6 seconds, and all of a sudden I couldn't shift anymore, stuck in second gear. And so I pulled the steering wheel off and put it back on, and then all of a sudden it came back and was able to push the lead back out to about 5 seconds. But yeah, just stop making mistakes.
Yeah, we were discussing, not everybody in this league is as experienced with iRacing, and with this being kind of a lesser known track, is a question mark on who has really run a lot on here and who hasn't. Have you done much running on Okayama before this?
No, this was my first time out here with the RSR on this track, but it really just came down to setup. Everyone was kind of, with the new update, it changed a lot of things. So that was probably the biggest thing, getting used to your setup.
Well, we're going to switch gears and head about halfway across the world down to Interlagos. Do you anticipate being able to repeat the feat and go put it on the pole and take the victory again?
Now that I have this setup that I feel really comfortable with, I'm hoping so, because that's one of my favorite tracks. I love that track, so I'm hoping.
Oh, that doesn't bode well for others, but congratulations. Looks like you're hitting your stride, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Corey Lotvilla with the win today here in Japan. Up next, Cy Andra has Jerry Freckleton with another victory for him.
Well, Jerry, you started third, finished first. Tell us about your race today.
Oh my goodness! In the very beginning, on the first lap, just the door opened up, and I got so lucky on that. Man, I was as happy as Yogi Bear getting a picnic basket.
Well, we definitely saw, yeah. We saw you had issues with some of the slower GTEs in front, and that had definitely helped you pad out the gap to second place there, Jad Duncan. Were you kind of frustrated with how the GTEs were today, or was the
No,
pretty good?
they were actually pretty good. I mean, they were really good compared to how it's been in some of the previous races, but they were actually really good. Everybody, we'll say, was polite. You know, as they're coming up, they're letting you know they were coming up, and they'd ask you what side you wanted them, or I would say go there or go. So actually, that end of it worked out really well as the race did for me. You know.
Yeah, looks like a little bit of virtual point buys going on. Always good to see. Well,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're taking the lead here in the championship, and you're making the gap bigger. What's your plan for the next race in Interlagos?
Well, hopefully we can do the same thing, or we're actually we would like, or the goal is to try and be in the top 3 if possible each race, and we'll worry about the end of the championship at the end.
One race at a time. Thanks so much, Jerry.
Yeah.
Well, before I let you go here, I just got to say, I love your paint scheme. Big fan of it.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Airwolf is, they helped me out quite a little bit, and I'd like to say special thanks to my coach, Michael Johnson. He helped me out tremendously about 2 days ago, and I'll tell you what, I am tickled pink, and we got to put it out to my girlfriend, Denise Lanigan, for allowing me to sit in this room and have so much fun. And you guys, GSRC, and also our Porsche Owners Club, and then all the team members that we race with every night, man. They're a great group of people.
And that was Jerry Freckleton, our winner in GT4. Next up, we have Joe with second place in the RSR, Travis Brown.
Indeed. Travis, let's start at the very beginning of the race, though. What was going through your mind when you're heading into turn 1 and your spotter says 3 wide?
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure I left Corey enough space. I didn't want to get into the back of him. And 3 wide, I was like, well, I'm glad I got the inside and not the middle line. But yeah, it was a little hairy start to begin.
Now, we heard from Corey that he had a little bit of issues. Did you hear any of that interview? And how aware were you of what was going on and why you were starting to gain some of that time back?
No, I mean, I was hopeful that he was just making little mistakes and, getting in his head that I was closing the gap. I was making a nice little run, but then we hit traffic and it just kind of blew it all up. So I did not hear the interview. What was causing it?
Apparently, it got stuck in second for a few corners. So very strange problem for him that cost him a little bit, but it sounds like he really had his nose to the grindstone. How hard were you pushing to try and keep up and try and pressure him into those mistakes?
I mean, I was definitely pushing. I didn't realize he was stuck in second gear. I'll have to start calling him Senna after that, but bringing home the dub. But no, it was. I was definitely pushing. He just was super consistent and wasn't making any mistakes. So kudos to him.
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch this race. Is there anybody that you want to thank that helped make this podium possible today?
Give my shout out to my wife and kids. They root me on again. So dinner tonight, they were asking me give them updates tomorrow morning. So it'll be good. All fun.
Great stuff from not only our second place finisher, but our points leader in the GT1 class. Up next, I believe that we have our third place finisher with Cy Andra, John Mohmeyer.
Hey, John, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your podium. Well, it was a bit of a fraught race today, but how'd you handle?
Was just trying to get around the track today. I didn't get to practice this last week. We had kids on spring break and we're traveling. So as I came in tonight, saw everybody running a lot faster. Knew I was just going to hang on. I'm surprised I got up in third, but happy for it.
We were discussing that before the show here, that Okayama is not a familiar track to a lot of people. Have you raced here before? Any experience?
We did a little experience doing some racing here in some of our 4-Drink Friday, I believe. So we've had some track time, but not in a GT4.
Yeah, definitely a big shock. Especially Okayama, it can be a little bit different depending on what you're driving, high downforce, low downforce. But your biggest rival in the championship, Jerry Freckleton, won the race today, and I know you want to bring that gap down in points. It's still doable. He doesn't quite have a Hamilton level lead here. What's your plan going into the next race in Interlagos?
I'll see if I can get some more practice and be as fast as Jerry.
Well, keeping it simple, I like that. Congrats on the podium, John.
Thank you so much.
That was John Mohmeyer, our third place finisher in GT4. And to round out interviews, we have Michael W. Johnson with Joe.
Indeed. And, we talked to Travis Brown about that 3 wide moment into turn 1. You were behind that, Michael. Did you clinch at all watching that unfold?
Oh, no, I was in the catbird seat ready to pounce. I was all over that. I'm like, somebody's hitting someone here. I'm taking advantage of it. And then, well, they made it through cleanly-ish. So I sat back and waited for my chance.
Speaking of clean racing and taking advantage of that, also got a spot from Robinson. Did you expect this race to hand you that much through attrition?
Yeah. I had a plan, and I was telling the rest of the guys in our internal chat that I was about to say something to Robinson about going and catching Travis, because I was trying to give him a chance to let us both get through, and then we could go battle, because I knew I was faster than Travis. And then, I mean, literally, as soon as I hit the button to open up my microphone, he hit that grass on the left side and went spinning. And then my life passed before my virtual life passed before my virtual eyes. And fortunately, I was able to get around him. But that put a gap to me and Travis. And I just spent the rest of the race trying to close it up, only to find out that about, I think it was 18 times that I counted, my VR headset went completely blank for about 5 seconds at a time.
Oh, well, that maybe that explains what my next question then. Is that what caused Matt Hollander to suddenly close up to you at the end?
I'll give Matt some credit for being a good driver. You're correct, but I'm going to say that Matt's just a really good driver, and he caught up to me under his own volition.
you got to schmooze with the boss a little bit, don't you?
That's right. He runs the club, and I'm one of the invited pros who comes to play. So I got to be nice, I guess.
Well, congratulations on a podium, regardless, and can't wait to see you down in Brazil.
I'm looking forward to Brazil, and a special shout out to Dominic Fiaba, who helped me capture some of the differences between real life racing and sim racing. There are some very distinct differences, and he was a huge help the other day.
Great stuff. That was Michael Johnson on the podium in the GT1 class, and that's going to round out our interviews. Before we go, though, we once again want to thank our sponsors for this series. Of course, naturally, being Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And finally, Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work, including her upcoming album being released on the 26th. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Cy, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Check out our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And if you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store. It's simply gsrc.storingview.com, where we keep a link in the description below. It's nice and easy to get there. While you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As we mentioned, Interlagos is up next in 2 weeks' time, Monday, April 5th at 11 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.